I wanted to talk about now the flat Earth. I wanted to explore the flat Earth. This is the flat Earth explored. So you know, the flat Earth is kind of a very it's a very old idea that the Earth is flat and stuff. The Earth isn't round, it's flat. That the Earth is like flat stuff. It's a very crude old idea. So I wanted to just talk about it now. Talk about it. Get into a discussion and stuff about it. About the flat Earth and stuff. So yeah, I mean, is the Earth actually flat? I mean, you can very easily argue that's not the case, right? So you can very easily argue that that's not the case, that the Earth actually isn't flat. But you know, it's a very interesting sort of intellectual exercise to kind of determine whether or not the Earth is actually flat. And you know, the idea that the Earth is flat, it sounds really crazy. It does sound really crazy, right? It sounds very insane that the Earth is flat. I mean, you have to understand, right, that a very long time ago, right, once upon a time, a long time ago, right, there was some sort of public consensus in a lot of different places in this world, right, in a lot of different nations, that the Earth was actually flat. It was actually flat. Not only was it actually flat, but that's just how it was. The Earth was actually flat. There used to be, you know, a public consensus all around the world, once upon a time, a long time ago, right, that the Earth was flat. It was actually flat and not round. You know, the idea that the Earth is spherical. But then again, a lot of people would say that, well, you know, you look at the Greeks and stuff, they figured out that the Earth is actually the ancient Greeks or other people similar to them, right, they figured out that the Earth is actually round, spherical, just by looking at, I don't know, shadows and stuff. True, yeah, but you know, you would also have to agree, right, that a lot of different nations around the world, especially in the past, in the very deep past, before, maybe even before the medieval period, that's how far back I'm talking about, right? You know, if we had a time machine, right, if we go back before the medieval period and stuff, go back before the medieval period, that's what I'm talking about, right? The idea that the Earth was flat, you know, a lot of people agreed to this idea, right, that the Earth is actually flat. And you still have flat earthers today and stuff, and I'm not gonna kind of speculate too much about this now, right? But you know, a lot of people used to believe that the Earth was flat. A lot of people used to have this belief that the Earth was actually not spherical as we understand it now, but it was actually completely flat. And you know, of course, if you think about it, as you using your own eyes, you can't really see the whole scope of the Earth. You can't see that the Earth is actually spherical, right? You can only see like just an endless flat mass that goes onwards and stuff, right? So, you know, in terms of empiricism, you know, what is empiricism? You know, empirical grounds and stuff like this. What does that mean? Like, in terms of what you can see, that's what that means, right? Like using your senses, right? You couldn't really, if you were like, let's say born, if you were born into some remote part of the world, let's just say in some kind of island somewhere that's very isolated from the rest of the world that we have now, and you were just completely blind to like a lot of modern Western education and stuff, you wouldn't come to the realization that the Earth is spherical, right? Just based off of your five senses, right? You would just see an endless flat plane. And, you know, in terms of empiricism, right? That's, you know, the flat Earth. You can see that will be kind of a little bit reasonable, right? Because if you, like, in terms of empiricism, right? Just going off what you can see, right? You can't see how the Earth curves and stuff. You can't see that the Earth is like a ball spinning in space. So, you know, this is, and, you know, in terms of empiricism, this is why like a lot of people had this belief that the Earth was actually flat, and there was a lot of consensus on the Earth being flat, you know, once upon a time, a very long time ago, right? Of course, you know, still people would say that, you know, the Greeks figured out that the Earth is spherical and stuff like this. The Earth is actually spherical. The Greeks figured this out. The Greeks figured it out and stuff like this. That the Earth is actually spherical. But it's kind of still a little, you know, still very you still would have to agree that the Earth, there was, you know, like, you know, because this is what people say. Well, even the Greeks figured out that the Earth was in fact spherical, just by looking at the shadows. If the Earth, it was spherical, it's like a sphere. It wasn't completely flat. They did, and supposedly, like the Greeks and other people like them, they figured out that the Earth was spherical and not flat by looking at shadows and etc. and doing little experiments, right? You know, okay, fine, I'll grant that, right? But, you know, so a lot of other people around them, especially once upon a time, a long time ago, right? They kind of, they did hold this belief. A lot of people used to hold this belief that the Earth is actually flat, and you can understand why, right? Once you if you look at it from the just on empirical grounds, right? Through empiricism, just based off our five senses, right? Because you cannot see the curvature of the Earth, the curvature just off your five senses. Or assuming that you don't use any other piece of technology as well, right? Because I know a lot of people say, well, you can fly drones up and see the curvature and whatever, but just based off of what, like the five senses you were born with, you wouldn't be able to determine. Oh, then again, people would argue that you can see shadows and curvatures. You can easily just determine that the Earth is spherical, just looking at shadows and doing these different experiments that the ancient Greeks did, supposedly, right? You know, okay, but you know, still, let's just say you were born on some remote island in the middle of nowhere, right? In some kind of very isolated part of the world. Would you be able to kind of, you know, figure out that the Earth is spherical? Of course not. Right? If you were just some primitive tribes person born in some remote part of the world that's cut off from the rest of like contact with modern civilization, right? Would you be able to determine, right, that the Earth is spherical and not flat? It's like this is like very like I don't believe so, right? Because I believe, like, you know, like a lot of the people that are so confident, right, about like a lot of our modern scientific knowledge, the only reason they're confident about this, right, is because, you know, of course, demonstrable evidence as well, right? But I guess supposedly now we can easily just kind of, we have things in space that can easily look at like what the actual shape and nature of the Earth is, right? But, you know, a lot of our modern scientific knowledge, right, yeah. But then, you know, maybe I'm just being you know, because it is based on a lot of provable evidence and stuff like this. But, you know, sometimes a lot of it's just that there's a consensus that this is the way it is now. That the Earth is spherical because this has been proven and stuff. That's what all the scientists are saying. And of course, you know, a lot of people would say, yeah, that's true, right? You know, and I would agree to that as well, right? I don't believe the Earth is flat. This is just an intellectual exercise. Because, you know, the flat Earth seems so absurd, right? But you have to realize, right, once upon a time, a long time ago, right, there used to be some sort of consensus in a lot of different nations around the world that the Earth is it's flat, not spherical. Of course, now then what happened was, you know, there was sort of a revolution. Well, I guess it wasn't really a revolution, you know, because people would say that, well, the Greeks already figured out that the Earth wasn't in flat, it was sort of spherical. So and you know, there was a lot of merit to that, you know, but a lot of different nations around the world didn't really, you know, well, if they were even very intellectually advanced, because a lot of different nations around the world were kind of very primitive and stuff. they haven't really figured a lot of different things out yet. Right? So, you know, maybe that's why a lot of people would say, oh, that's why they thought the Earth was flat, because they were just primitive and stuff. And yeah, and you know, the Earth being flat, you can just see it as an intellectual exercise, right? Could the Earth actually be flat? And of course, in my opinion, it would be very hard to cover up the Earth being flat. You know, a lot of different flat earthers, conspiracy theorists like Eric Dubay and whatever, they believe that it would be possible for some sort of organization to kind of I guess cover up, kind of have this massive cover up, right? Eric Dubay, other flat earthers and other conspiracy theorists, they believe that it would be somehow possible to kind of keep the flat Earth a secret. And I just don't believe that's the case, because there's too many people with cameras running around now. So, you know, if the Earth was actually flat, someone would have kind of figured it out and shown all the evidence for it. But, you know, a lot of conspiracy theorists and people like Eric Dubay and others, flat earthers or whatever, they would say that, well, the Earth is flat, right? Because this is all covered up by different organizations and people. And that's very, you know, that almost becomes too absurd, right, in my opinion, because, you know, there's too many people now running around with cameras. So, you know, if the Earth was flat, I guess someone would have found the edge, so to speak, right? You know what I mean? No, but, you know, again, it's an intellectual exercise. Let's just assume, right, that the Earth was not spherical, but it was flat. That would be very, very interesting, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be very, very interesting if the Earth was flat and not spherical? Think about it. How would that change your belief system? How would that change your views about anything? Your belief system, I guess your I don't know, spirituality, if that makes any sense, right? Whatever your rationale, your way of seeing things, right? How would that change if let's just hypothetically say if the Earth was actually flat? I guess, you know, a lot of people say, well, it wouldn't really make a difference, right? It's still living on the same type of we're still living on the same type of Earth, I guess. I guess a lot of people wouldn't say that, because, right, you know, if the Earth was flat, it would be a different type of Earth. And maybe I'm just being dumb. I'm kind of really mumbling with my words. I have to be kind of a little bit more precise, right? No, but just how much would your belief system, your way of seeing the world change, right? If you know, the flat Earth was actually true, hypothetically, let's just say the theory that the Earth was actually flat was true, like that, hypothetically, right? How would your lenses of reality change, right? Think about it. A lot of people would say, well, it wouldn't be too drastic. They wouldn't experience any sort of drastic. They wouldn't see things differently too drastically, right? I mean, the Earth is just flat. Of course, a lot of people say, well, that would be super, yeah, of course, that'll be a paradigm shift, because if the Earth was flat, like, our entire geopolitical world would be completely different, right? Just based off something as simple as the Earth's shape being different, the geopolitics of our world will be completely different. And, you know, because there's going to be varying different views on this, so. There's going to be varying different views on this, right, by a bunch of different people, right? On this theory that the Earth is flat, like what the implications of this would be and stuff. And again, it's just an intellectual exercise. It's just an intellectual exercise, right? I'm not advocating that the Earth is actually flat. It's just an intellectual exercise, just to kind of, I don't know, flex your brain muscles a little bit. You know, the Earth being flat, just, you know, think in terms of empiricism, right? Based off of your five senses, right? You know, because just based off of your five senses, right? Could you determine that the Earth was not flat, that it was actually spherical based off of your five senses? Of course, because you can only see so far and so much. You can't see the whole scope of the Earth just using your five senses. Of course, assuming that you're not also using some other piece of technology. Let's just say you can't use drone footage or anything like this. You just have to rely on your five senses. Would you be able to determine, right, stuff that the Earth is actually spherical. Stuff is spherical. It's not flat. It's not just a endless flat mass based off of your five senses. A lot of people will argue and speculate that, well, the Greeks did it. They looked at shadows and whatever. People like them did it and stuff. So yeah, maybe you're just using our five senses. Yeah, that might be enough to determine the Earth is spherical, not flat. You know, this is kind of ridiculous, right? Because you wouldn't be able, if you're just using your senses, you wouldn't be able to tell that the Earth is flat. I mean, round, spherical and curved. Right? That's almost too absurd, right? And people say, well, yes, I can. I would be able to determine things based off calculations and experiments, right? But just based off of what you can see, could you be able to tell that the Earth is it's spherical, not some endless flat mass, just based off of your five senses, assuming you don't have any other piece of technology on you as well? Of course not, right? You know, in terms of empiricism, right? What on empirical grounds, based off what you can see and sense with your five senses, supposedly, if that's right, you know, if that's true, right? You know, your five senses. If we actually have five senses and not any more or less, right? You know, you wouldn't be able to you wouldn't be able to determine, right, that the Earth is, this is again based off your five senses, that the Earth is spherical, that the Earth is spherical, so that the Earth is spherical. Right, you would just see, like, in terms of your five senses, all you would be seeing is an endless flat mass, and that's very interesting. That's very interesting. And based off of your five senses, all you could see is this sort of flatness, I guess, right, in your immediate environment. Of course, we're not talking about like distant areas like the horizon or whatever, like just in terms of what you can see in front of you, right? You can't see that the Earth is like curved, it's spherical. You have to, that's based off of that's just sort of based off of your belief that this is the case, right? That the Earth is spherical and curved, based off of, like, it is sort of I mean, if you, assuming that you can only trust your five senses, right? There's sort of a belief that the Earth is spherical. Of course, you can say, well, we have images, pictures, all of this stuff, blah 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 blah. But you're trusting that those images, and videos, and whatever, and satellite photos are all accurate. They're not just fabrications made up. But you know, a lot of people say, well, that's just really absurd, right? The Earth has to be spherical, and so that's just how it is. Because that's the consensus among the scientists we have now. But you have to realize that, you know, once upon a time, a long time ago, there was some sort of consensus that the Earth was spherical, right? In a lot of different nations in the world, once upon a time, a long time ago. But, you know, a lot of people say, well, the Greeks, and I'm kind of tripping over myself and keep going over the same points, I guess. You know, but really, it's a fun little intellectual exercise, right? The flat Earth, like, right? But let's just explore the idea that what if the Earth was actually flat, right? You know, how different would our understandings be and stuff? How different would our understandings be, you know, if the Earth was actually if it was flat and not spherical? Our understandings would be completely different. Our understandings would be so radically it would be really different. I think about the implications of the flat Earth. Our entire geopolitical world would be so different if this was true, right? If the Earth was actually flat. Of course, you know, is the Earth actually flat? You know, it's like an endlessly debated topic. But, you know, again, I'm not really fully convinced that the Earth is actually flat. Again, this is just an intellectual exercise. It's an intellectual exercise, right? I'm not advocating, right, the Earth is flat and that you should believe in this idea that the Earth is flat. It's just a fun little intellectual exercise that you can think about, right? Well, what if the Earth was actually flat? How, you know, think about it, right? could the earth actually be flat? Think about it, right? Why don't you, why can't the earth be flat? You know, it's, I'm trying to help you flex your brain muscles. And of course, I'm not really, advocating the idea that the earth is actually flat, because, in my opinion, that would just be kind of, it's like, a lot of, like, again, flat earthers and conspiracy theorists, they rely on the idea that a flat earth could, whoever's in charge of the world, they can easily just kind of veil up the actual truth that the earth is flat and not spherical. They could veil this up, and I don't believe that's the case. I believe there's too many people running around with cameras, too many people running around with different cameras and all other sorts of tech. It's very, if the earth was actually flat, at least some person would have documented, like, the curvature and the curve, well, not the curvature, that's kind of an oxymoron, right? I mean the end, like the cutoff point of the flat earth. Someone would have came across that, but then a lot of flat earthers would say, well, there is no cutoff point, it's just an endless plane, and this is just all. And then that gets very, that becomes sort of absurd, right? Because a lot of flat earthers believe that we were just on a plane, so to speak. It's just an endless realm. It's just goes on and on. There's no cutoff point. That's kind of, if that was true, that'd be so weird. That'll be a bigger conspiracy. That'll be even more absurd. I guess, I don't know. That'll be even more unbelievable. Because some flat, like, within the flat Earth community, there's like this sort of there is this sort of a category of people, right, that believe that the Earth is not only flat, but it's just an endless plane. We just exist in, like, some sort of dimension where the Earth is flat and it just goes on like that forever. If that was true, that would be just kind of mind-blowing, and kind of, if we are not only is the Earth flat, but where it's just an endless plane and stuff. It's just a flat, endless mass. It goes on forever and ever. Of course, that'd be even harder. That's like even more unbelievable than the flat Earth, because how if that was true, right, it would be so monumental. It would be so. I just can't see how no one would have realized that, right? Again, this is just a fun little intellectual exercise, right? Is the Earth actually flat? Again, it's just a fun little exercise, right? Think about it. Is the Earth actually flat? Could it be flat? Is there any sort of possibility and stuff that the Earth is flat? Think about it. It's just a fun little intellectual exercise and stuff. Think about it. Could the Earth actually be flat? Could the Earth actually be flat? It's just a fun little intellectual exercise. Think about it. Could the Earth actually be flat? Could the Earth actually be flat? It's just a fun little intellectual exercise. Think about it, really think about it. Could the Earth actually be flat? A lot of people would, like, kind of throw their hands up in the air and start yelling and saying, no, of course not. Because we have all the drone footage and all of this other stuff, all the satellite photos and stuff that prove that the Earth is actually spherical and not just some flat, endless plane and mass. Just think about it, really. Could the Earth actually be flat? And of course, this is just, again, an intellectual exercise. I'm not advocating for the flat Earth theory or whatever. This is just a fun little exercise, right? Let's just assume that the Earth was actually flat. How different would our understanding of the world be, right? I guess it would be, some people say, well, the Earth is just flat now, so what? But, the geopolitics would be a little bit different, right? The Earth is flat, so there is no sort of curvature. So yeah, I guess some people just say, well, the Earth is just flat, so what? Now we can just move on, right? But, the geopolitics would be a little bit different, in my opinion, if the Earth was actually flat and not spherical. So there would be some sort of important difference, right? If the Earth was flat and not spherical, in my opinion. Of course, the science of physics would be a lot different. our way of our understanding of science would be completely different, right, if the Earth was flat and not spherical, right? Because a lot of people would say, well, this flat Earth is just literally impossible, right, based off like the laws of physics or something similar, right? And there's a reason the Earth is like curved and spherical and is a ball. And of course, this is kind of, it's all just kind of speculation and stuff. It's all just speculation and stuff. Yeah, but it's again a fun little intellectual exercise. Could the Earth actually be flat? Could the Earth actually be flat? It's a fun little intellectual exercise. Could the Earth actually be flat? You know, again, going back to empiricism, in terms of what you can see with your five senses, right? Can you see that the Earth is spherical? Of course not, right? People say, well, you can send drones up, like, assuming you can't use any other piece of technology, can you come to the realization, right? Can you come to the realization that the Earth is spherical just based off of what you can see in the short answers? Of course not. Because you can only see so far and so much, right, of the Earth, and using just your eyeballs, right? You can't see like the full scope of the Earth just using your eyeballs. And of course, you know, people again would argue that you could sense the curvature by looking at shadows or whatever. That's how the ancient Greeks figured out the Earth is spherical, right? You know, shadows can be kind of misinterpreted and whatever. And plus, you can't really, like, the Earth doesn't cast a shadow on itself, so you wouldn't even be able to determine the actual shape of the Earth. You would just be able to kind of stretch logic apart and just say and speculate that, oh well, the shadows curve at this angle, so the Earth is a ball. That's kind of a little bit absurd as well. And again, I'm not a flat earther. This is just all speculation. I'm just trying to help you flex your brain muscles. This is just some sort of brain exercise. I don't know. I think about it. What if the Earth was actually flat and not spherical? How different would your understanding of everything be? How different would your belief system be if the Earth was flat and not spherical? And of course, some people say, well, the Earth is just flat now, so what? You can just move on. But think about it. How different would your understanding of everything be? Right? If the Earth was actually flat and not spherical, I'm gonna say that your understanding, it would be extremely different, right? Your belief system would be sort of altered a little bit, right? If the Earth is actually flat and not spherical. And of course, you know, could the Earth actually be flat? You know, it's just this is a question that can't really be answered, right? You know, could the Earth actually be flat? A lot of what ifs and coulds and can'ts and whatever like this is just hard. It's impossible to answer. You know, could the Earth actually be flat? It's impossible to answer, right? Could the Earth actually be flat? You know, it's very impossible to answer. Could it be flat? Who knows, right? But is the Earth actually flat? You know, of course, I'm not really convinced that the Earth is actually flat, right? Just because of the fact that, you know, we have a lot of different people with cameras now and drones and satellites up there and stuff. If the Earth was actually flat, that would be just impossible to hide. That's kind of my take on why the Earth might not be actually flat. But, you know, again, this is an intellectual exercise, right? Think about it. If the Earth was actually flat and not spherical, not some round ball spinning in space, how different would your belief system be, right? Would your views about everything in this world change? Think about it, really deeply think about it, contemplate about it. How different would your belief system be? How different would your way of seeing the world be, right? If the Earth was actually flat and not spherical, not some sort of ball spinning in space. This is just an intellectual exercise. Again, I'm not advocating for the flat Earth, I guess, hypothesis, the flat Earth theory, right? This idea that the Earth is flat and not spherical. This idea that the Earth is flat and not spherical. I'm not advocating for this sort of idea that the Earth is flat and not spherical. This isn't my own belief. I don't believe this personally, right? Again, because, you know, we have a lot of different people with cameras, with drones, with satellites, and other things up there, right? If the earth was actually flat, that would just be impossible to hide, you know. So you can see that for what, and you can kind of see and take that for what it is, I guess. But, well, maybe, I don't know, I'm just mumbling my words again, right? So, kind of being an idiot again, but you know, this is an intellectual exercise and stuff, right? This is an intellectual exercise, right? Think about it. What if the earth was actually flat and not spherical, not a ball curved up? How different would your belief system be about if this was true, if this was the case? Think about it really deeply. Could this be the case? That's also something you have to think about, right? Again, going back to empiricism, right? Based off of your five senses, can you see that the earth is flat? Can you see that the earth is flat? I mean, not flat. Can you sense the earth's curvature, right? Can you see that the earth is a spherical ball and not just a flat, endless mass? I'm mumbling my words. But you know, the truth is, right, of course you can't see, right, that the earth is some sort of spherical ball. You can't see that the curvature just using your eyeballs, right? Assuming that you're not sending drones up there or using just your eyeballs, you can't see the curvature of the earth. You can't see how the earth is spherical and how it's sort of like a ball and it's floating in space. You can't see that, right? All you can see is this flatness and stuff. And this is why a lot of flat earthers this is how they would argue that the earth is, you know, it's more insane to believe the earth is a spherical ball spinning in space than the flat earth, than the idea that the earth is flat. Because, you know, based off of our five senses, right, you can't see the based off of our five senses, you can't see like how the earth is like a ball spinning in space, right? All you can see is just sort of a flat mass, a flat land mass. And you know, a lot of people say, well, yeah, well, you know, the flat earth. Still, you know, we can send drones up and we have satellite photos, so the flat earth is just stupid. You know, of course I would agree to this as well, right? Because I know too many different people with different cameras running around, and we have satellites up there and stuff. So, you know, I also agree, right, that, you know, it'll be impossible to cover up and veil up the truth that the earth is actually flat. So that's why I personally don't subscribe to the flat earth theory. But, you know, this is a fun little intellectual exercise, right? Right. You know, think about it. Really think about it, right? The flat earth. It's an intellectual exercise. Think about it. Think about it. It's just a fun little intellectual exercise. It's just a fun little intellectual exercise. The flat earth, think about it. Of course, I don't again subscribe to the idea that the earth is flat, because, you know, too many people with cameras and other sorts of things like that running around. If the earth was flat, someone would have kind of documented it by now, right? But, you know, just think about it. Like, could the earth actually be flat? It's a fun little intellectual exercise. Could the earth actually be flat? It's a fun little intellectual exercise. Could the earth actually be flat and not spherical, not a ball spinning in space? Think about it. It's a good, fun little intellectual exercise. You know, based off of your five senses, again, you know, I'm mumbling my words. I might just be going on endless rants now, right? But, you know, just your five senses, right? You can't see the curvature of the earth. You can't see that the earth is a ball spinning in space, right? You just have to speculate that's true, that the earth is you just have to kind of believe that the earth is spherical and sort of a ball. And of course, people say, well, not necessarily believe, because, you know, we have all the physics and everything kind of sort of lined up and matched up. we have all the science done up, we have all the imaging processing done up and whatever, so you know, it's not really a belief. You know, the earth actually is spherical, it's round. There's too much evidence for it, and you know, I also agree to this. I'm not a flat earther, but just, you know, based off of your five senses, you would never be able to prove that the earth is a sphere. It's spherical, it's round, it's like a ball spinning around in space. That's just, that is your that would be just kind of absurd. If you could only use your five senses and your eyeballs, right, to prove this, it would just be kind of almost too absurd. You wouldn't, because you know, you can't see the whole scope of the earth using just your eyeballs, right? Of course, you know, not of course not, you know, because people would say, well, drones. You know, I'm just saying that using your five senses, your eyeballs and stuff, you wouldn't be able to figure out that the earth is a spherical and round. That the earth is spherical and round, and it's a ball spinning around space, right? Just using your eyeballs and your five senses. Of course, a lot of people say, well, who cares about that? You know, we have the satellite photos, we have all of this imaging of the earth, we have different planes going up, and you know, and I also agree, right, that, yeah, this kind of, it would sort of prove that the earth is actually round and spherical. All the modern science is kind of pointing in that direction as well, right? And, you know, this is just a little intellectual exercise, right? You know, what if the earth was actually flat and not round? How different would your way of seeing the world be? How different would your lenses of reality be if the earth was actually flat and not round? It would be very interesting, right? It's very interesting to think about this, right? How different would your lenses of reality be if the earth was actually flat and not round? And this is just an intellectual exercise. I'm not advocating that the earth is actually flat or whatever. This is not my personal belief system, but this is just something to kind of help you think a bit. Just kind of ponder on it, think about it, right? What if the earth was actually flat and not round? How different would your belief systems be? It's interesting to think about this, right? Really, you should really ponder about this, right? And also, how would you determine that the earth actually isn't flat? We're not just on a flat mass, not on some sort of flat endless plane. Right? The earth is like, how would you be able to not determine this isn't the case, right? Because people, you know, where the earth is spherical and it's a ball spinning around space, you can't prove that using just your five senses and your eyeballs. Really, you have to kind of, really, you should really kind of think about this and really ponder about it. Really think about it. How would you be able to prove that the earth isn't flat, right? Because, you know, using our five senses and our eyeballs, the earth does seem to be flat, right? You know, people say, well, it's an illusion, the earth is actually spherical and round. You know, it's very interesting just to think about this, right? Like, well, what if the earth is actually flat? You know, the flat earth explode. Let's just explore this idea that what if the earth was actually flat and not round? You know, it's very interesting. How different would your belief system be? It's like, you should really contemplate and think about this, right? Think about it. How different would your belief system be? How different would your understanding of the world be and stuff like this? You should really think about it. Really think about it, right? What if the earth was actually flat and not spherical, not round, not a ball spinning in space? Right? Think about it. It's kind of, and again, I'm not a flat earther, I'm not advocating that the earth is flat. This is just something to kind of stimulate your brain muscles. Think about it. What if the earth was actually flat and not round? That'd be kind of mind-blowing, right? Think about it. So really think about it. You should really try and kind of think about this. Of course, people will say, well, no, it's kind of stupid. The earth isn't flat. It's obviously spherical. That's because that's what the modern scientists are talking about and saying, right? But, you know, really think about it. What if the earth was actually flat? How different would your belief system be? Would it be possible for the earth to actually be flat? You know, this is just something you really just got to think about. I'm not advocating that the earth is flat, you know, because in my opinion, right, we have too many people with cameras running around, right, and satellites up there and planes going around and stuff like this, right? You know, if the earth was actually flat, it'll be impossible not to notice that, right? You know, and for different people not to notice that, and to kind of leak that, some of the evidence for that and whatever. You know, it's just a fun little intellectual exercise, right? Think about it. What if the earth was actually What if the Earth was actually flat and not a spherical ball spinning in space? You gotta really contemplate and think about this. It's a fun little intellectual exercise. Really think about it. Right? Think about, what if the Earth was actually flat? Alright, think about this, right? What if the Earth was actually flat and not some spherical ball spinning in space? And of course, I'm not advocating for the flat Earth theory or hypothesis, right? This is just a fun little intellectual exercise. So you should really, really, really think about this, right?